I will address my friends Brian and Elaine and all the other uh, atheists. The first thing you have to recognize is that the human being in the ancient world lived from moment to moment. You're trying to judge people living in a subsistence society which you can't imagine what it's like. The type of existence that you had, the attacks that you would have from animals, the need to defend yourself and your crops from your neighbors. And if you needed territory, how, if you came with your family, they would wipe you out. So instead of being wiped out, you had to wipe out everyone else. That was the reality of the ancient world. Slavery came afterwards. After peoples were killing each other, destroying each other, taking over each other's land, they decided that they didn't have to eliminate everyone. They could keep some of them as slaves. And this was the reality of the ancient world 4,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago. Up until quite recently, cannibalism existed in certain parts of Europe. That's because of the realities of the harsh nature of existence. You cannot judge people by those standards because you cannot understand how people survived. And the need for survival in those early years was paramount. You had to survive. You couldn't have a just society survive when your enemies would kill you. So you had to kill your enemies. It was either kill or be killed. And that is the reality of the environment in which the people of Israel came into the land of Canaan. The commandment, thou shalt not leave any soul, doesn't mean that they killed all the inhabitants. In fact, according to the Talmud, Joshua sent 3 letters to the people of Canaan. First letter was, those who wish to make peace can make peace, sue for peace, and pay tribute. The second letter was, those who wish to leave, not pay tribute, can leave and are given free exit. The third letter was, those who wish to fight can fight to the death. Even when fighting to the death with a city, they would leave part of the ways open so that people could run away, so they didn't have to fight them. They were always going to be survivors. However, from those who remained and stood, you recognize that those were the most fierce and the most opposed to your existence and the most dangerous, and therefore you could not let any of them live. You said, well, how could you hurt babies? The fact is that the psychology of the ancient world was one of vengeance, one of tit for tat. When you defeated a nation, that nation would try to come back and defeat you in whatever way it could. Leaving survivors was tantamount to leaving someone who would kill you. But people can't understand this until they look into the faces of the children in Gaza. I don't advocate killing the children in Gaza, chas v'sholom, God forbid. But how are they taught? They are taught to enjoy and revel at the death of people whom they perceive are their enemies. They enjoy the death of other children. That's what they are taught from their earliest. They're taught to want to kill others from their earliest development. This is their glory, to kill others, to die for the Palestinia by killing themselves and killing other people, other Jewish children. This is the mentality and the psychology of those ancient peoples who had to be eliminated. And you cannot judge a people based upon what exists today. But even today, I can tell you that there are people in this world who want no peace, who only wait for the day to kill those whom they hate, whether they be Jews, Christians, Buddhists, or others. And this is primarily among the radical Islamic factions, mostly the Wahhabist faction, but the Islamic Brotherhood in Egypt and other such organizations. They are dedicated not to life, but to the death of others. It's very hard to understand, Brian. That's the reality. And so, judge not because you don't know the reality of the peoples that you are criticizing or their psychology, their circumstances.